So, I made a video about Fallout Shelter, and some guy left a comment saying I should play Fallout 4 next. Now, before this, my Fallout experience was, well, Fallout Shelter, so going from managing an underground vault while listening to classical music, to running around the wasteland with power armor and dodging nukes was, let's say, a bit of a jump. But I'm always up for a challenge, and Cesara said it would only take a month, so I started on May 16th and finally wrapped it all up on October 13th. Yeah, a bit longer than a month, but I like the optimism. This is a series where I tell you some things about the games where I've collected all the achievements. Why? Because I enjoy achievement hunting, and making videos about these games makes me feel like I'm not wasting my time doing it, so that's good. So let's begin with Fallout 4. In the beginning, I have to say, I was completely lost. The in-game tutorial, yeah, that was basically like someone handing you a puzzle with no picture on the box. Like, build this thing. Great. Let me find somewhere in this menu that contains 10 submenus, each with their own submenus that contain structures. And once I found it and built the thing, it's like, oh wait, it needs power. So now what? Well, I figured out that I need to build a generator, but then how do I connect it? Normally, I enjoy figuring stuff out in games, but with the sheer amount of features thrown at you early on, it was like learning how to juggle, but instead of learning with juggling balls, you have to learn it with rusty nails. The amount of content this game has is enormous, with a lot of side quests and miscellaneous quests that you can get into, so you'll have shit to do for hours if you're trying to experience everything that the game has to offer. Now, the bugs. Fallout 4 is a Bethesda game, so naturally the bugs are part of the experience. But hey, they're mostly harmless. More hilarious than game-breaking. One feature I did like was the companions. You get to pick one at a time, and depending on what you do, your relationship improves. Max them out and they give you a unique skill. If any Fallout fans are curious what my companion choices were, here they are in order. First I went with Piper. She's a very nice lady, so I romanced her. Then I tagged along with Kate. She's really cool and badass. I romanced her. Then Codsworth. He's very loyal, but sadly I couldn't romance him because he's a robot. Then I went with Preston. Go Minutemen, go! Oh yeah, I romanced him too, but if I heard another settlement needs your help one more time, I was ready to side with the raiders out of spite.
Foreshadowing.
Then I went with Curie, and I enjoyed her personality a lot, and also her lovely French accent. I do have bad news and good news with Curie. Bad news is that she's a robot, and you can't romance robots, but the good news is that we helped her transfer her consciousness into a synth body, basically making her human passing, so I could technically romance her. And I did. And then last but not least, I took Old Longfellow on my travels, because at this point I had unlocked and finished the Far Harbor DLC. And yes, I romanced him too. Oh, and speaking of Curie, there was this one moment where I assigned her in human form to the Pillory. She was only wearing her two-piece underwear because I had the same armor that I was passing around my companions, and this was after I maxed out Curie, so I took the armor away. And while she stood there, awkwardly locked up in her underwear, she carried on like nothing was happening. Full-on philosophical conversations like, ah yes, the meaning of life. While I'm just sitting there trying not to laugh.
Do you need something, monsieur?
How are you doing?
I must confess, I am missing you. I hope you've come so we can travel again together. Hint, hint.
Never mind.
As you wish. Humanity has fallen so since the
One feature I did not like at all had to do with the power armor. You know, the iconic walking tank suit that makes you feel like a god until you realize you have to watch the same slow animation every time you get in and out of it. Towards the end of the game, when I was beefy enough even without the power armor, I was just leaving this thing whatever it was, because I could not deal with the 10-second theater production playing every fucking time. I also want to mention that for some weird reason, every time I would play this game, after about 1 hour of playing, it would make me extremely tired. I have no idea how or why. I can play any other game for hours on end and I'll be fine, but if I'm on Fallout 4 for 90 minutes, I'm just ready for someone to give me hot chocolate and tuck me in for the night. It was really weird. Now, let's talk achievements. It took me 124 hours to get all of the 84 achievements. The most popular achievement is War Never Changes, which 83.4% of players unlocked, and the rarest one is All Sugared Up, with only 1.3% of players unlocking this achievement. You can see all the other percentages on screen. I keep putting this bit in every video, but I don't think anyone actually cares about these. The way my story with this game went is the following. I started a playthrough in which my goal was just to do as many things as I possibly can. So I spent over 100 hours finishing all side quests I came across, DLCs, getting as much XP as possible, and keeping the peace with all the factions for as long as possible. If you don't know what that means, there's basically 4 factions in Fallout 4. The Minutemen, the Brotherhood, the Railroad, and the Institute. And there's also the Nuka-Cola Raiders if you get that DLC. And they all have beef with each other. So I just did quests for all of them up until the next quest for a specific faction would require me to become enemies with another faction. With all that done, after about 100 hours I got to around level 72 and I ran out of things to do except the main storyline. So I created a master save that I would later come back to. Then I was finally able to choose the faction I was gonna side with. Yeah, I went with the Nuka-Cola Raiders because I thought it would be quite funny to have 4 factions fighting for your loyalty and you choose the 5th one, which everyone else hates. And I did that entire storyline while cleaning up all the extra miscellaneous achievements. When all that was done, the only achievements left to get were story related ones depending on which faction you go with. So I loaded my master save back up and followed the Railroad storyline until the end, which ended up being a lot more murderous and, well, nuclear than I thought it would be. Guys?
Pretty close to a
Nuclear detonation.
The heat, the force, the radiation, the fear. It's the end of the world all over again.
With that, I got the Rocket's Red Glare, Prepared for the Future, and Nuclear Option achievements. And so I only had 3 more achievements left to get. So I booted the master save again, sided with the Institute, and did all that part of the story, which was basically the same thing. I had to kill everyone else. Then I rebooted again and got the final 2 achievements by siding with the Brotherhood. However, the ending was a bit underwhelming because I got the last achievement when the assault on the Institute started, not when it ended. So there was this awkward moment where I had 100% achievements, but the big final fight hasn't started yet. It was definitely awkward. Oh, Ad Victorium. Wait, we didn't even kill them all yet. Yeah, that was the last achievement. We didn't even kill them all yet. We just entered.
Well, you're in
Got this
and
covered, Paladin. Get to that
undefeatable
reactor.
for sure now.
What the fuck? That's so underwhelming. One thing I did find a bit annoying about collecting all the achievements was the fact that, as I just mentioned, there are different achievements for siding with different factions, so unless you want to spend a long time doing multiple playthroughs to get all those achievements, you'll need to create a special master save at some point before siding with any faction, or else you're gonna have to replay the game for a long time just to get the last 2 or 3 achievements. Another annoying thing is that you need to buy all the DLCs if you want all the achievements, and all the DLCs combined are gonna end up costing you more than the actual base game. And it's not even the fact that you need to buy them all, but most of the DLCs are just obvious cash grabs. Things like decorations and machinery that should have just been in the base game to begin with. If you check reviews on Steam for these DLCs, you'll see that they are mostly negative, pointing out the exact same thing. So, in conclusion, Fallout 4 is a game with a ridiculous amount of good, fun content. The achievements are a bit of a grind, especially with the faction splits and the DLC situation, but if you stick with it, it is a solid experience. Just don't expect to be done in a month unless you can manipulate time.